Hello, hi everybody, and welcome to yet another Thursday Things. Right, so today is my phone going. Right, okay, so today is a little bit different. So, to those of you who haven't been here before, welcome. My name's Marianne, and I'm the founder of Naturally Willa, which is a little business all providing information about how to heal your horse, mind, body, and soul naturally. Hi, Sarah. Say hi if you've joined me. If you're watching on replay, join me on say hi as well. Just put hashtag replay and hi. So, I've lost myself. Right, so Naturally Willa is all about how to heal your horse, mind, body and soul naturally. So I talk about track systems, herbs, and just ways of managing your horses. But today is a little bit slightly a morbid subject, perhaps, I don't know, but what would happen to my horses if I died? So my horses, I keep them in quite a particular way for their own health and welfare, and my health and welfare as well. So for those of you who haven't been with me before, I have my horses on a paddock paradise track system. And I'm also teaching them how to do things via a natural horsemanship trainer, although natural horsemanship is such a wide area and people call natural horsemanship one thing and it can be another. But if you've been with me for a while, you know I talk about Susie's horsemanship a lot. So stay tuned because I'll be talking to her on one of our YouTube videos, so stay tuned for that. It'll be up soon. I'll let you know as soon as that's up. And it's really interesting to hear her talk about her perception of what she does. So that'll be in place soon. But it makes me think that I have my horses in such a particular way. If I died, what would that mean for them? Because I know what the major has in his bucket every day. I know how many nets need to go out in any particular situation, or which size nets and how many of them. I know which herbs or spices or minerals that they need on the yard at any particular time of year, week, day, for their own benefit. Now, some of you might be thinking that I'm being overly particular. Maybe I am. But I do things in a specific way because that's what feels right to me. Now, if you've always been if you've also been following me for a while, you will realise or have heard that I am a green witch, which means that I have an affinity for nature, I have an affinity for herbs, flowers, and also animals. So I use a lot of my intuition to tell me when things need to be done, and I also make note of when my intuition said these things, so that if those things come up again, I'm already there, I'm already sorted, I know what I'm doing. But the family around me doesn't have those same sort of drives, don't have those same sort of connections, and as far as I know, my mother isn't a green witch, although I have my suspicions that she's something else. We'll see. That is up to her to discover and develop in her own way, but I have gone down the green witch path and I've never been happier. So, without those intuitions, without their knowledge, could somebody else look after my herd in the same way that I do? With the same system? Would they change it? Would the horses accept that? It's really, really interesting for me because I know so many people who will say, oh, my horse is easy, just needs X, Y, and anybody can do that. Do they know their horse properly? Or is their horse just that easy? Am I overcomplicating things? Or am I showcasing that maybe other people need to get to know their horse better? I don't know. I'm not being judgmental. I'm just asking the question. So, take Midnight, for example. Nobody can go in her field who she doesn't know. And you've got to be very, very careful of changing things around for her. So if somebody came in who wasn't aware of that and came to care for them, or if they went somewhere else to be cared for, what would her reaction be? Would she go back into her shell? Because when we first got her, she was very much a, please don't realise that I even exist mode. Whereas now she's all bright as a button and in your face and what you doing? Can I help? No, I'm coming too. Which is lovely. But that's taken us 2 years to get her to that stage. So if she went to somebody else, would she be okay? And the Major, he's very, very docile. Nothing really phases him. Same with Pagan. She's the same sort of personality as well. But would she be alright? Would somebody understand her? It's one of those things, isn't it? If you've got kids, and I can't speak from experience, but it would seem the same sort of way of you'd feel as though nobody else could look after your child in the same way. Even if your own mother takes them, they do things that just that little bit, I don't think I should like you doing that. But it's the same with me. I watch my mother do things with my herd, and I'm like, that's not entirely right, but I'll let it go this time. So, am I just being overly sensitive? Am I worrying about something that may never happen? You know, I'm 31 at the moment. My horses, with no touch wood, will live for the next 30 years. So I'll be in my 60s by the time I lose Pagan, Egypt and Spring. Now unfortunately I would have lost, or likely to have lost, Midnight before then, because she's just turned 50. She had her birthday last week. And the Major, well, he would have been definitely gone by then, because he's 29 already. Yeah, thank you, sir. Nobody does know my babies like me, but yeah, so 30 years of possibly having the same horses. Now, I've already said it before, and I'll say it again. My horses will never leave me. I would have to die, or they would have to die, to ever leave me. Nobody's stealing them, I'm never giving them away, and I'm never selling them, and they're never going back to the Blue Cross, unless something drastically goes wrong with them, or with me being able to look after them and finance what I'm doing, have to go really drastically wrong for me to turn around to the Blue Cross and say, you know that contract that I signed to say that if I ever had to give up the horses, that I would send them straight back and you would take them. I need to activate that. Now, it is great that I have that possibility, and that is reassuring in some ways, because I know firsthand the vetting process that you go through when you take on a Blue Cross horse. But it's still not me with my babies, with my horses, with my herd. But if my mother, say for example, if I died next week, would my parents, who also live in the same house as me and are around the horses a percentage of the time, would they be able to look after the herd as it is? Part of me says no. Because Egypt is a handful. He's one of those horses where he will only truly connect with one person. And that person has to truly, truly earn that right, earn that privilege. Which is something that I really, really learned from Susie, because I had a lesson with her yesterday. We were chatting for 4 hours. Oh, we had a 4-hour lesson. We were chatting for a lot of it. And she was talking about Egypt's personality because it's similar to her horse, Regallo. And they do only connect with one person. And my mother's afraid of him because she says he's Jekyll and Hyde. Because when he's scared, he explodes. But when he's fine and everything's okay, he's as soft as a pudding. So I'd have a lot of concern about whether she'd be able to keep him, or whether, say, the money that would come from my estate would be enough for her to pay for Susie lessons, so that she could learn how to keep hold of him. Because my herd is important, and I'd like for them to stay together. Now, I am from a legal background. I am legally trained. But I'm one of those people who knows how to write a will, but hasn't written her own will. I've written hundreds of wills so far in my career, but I've never written my own, which is not the most sensible thing in the world. Now, I know under the rules of intestacy that if I died, my money, my estate would go to my parents, go up my family tree, and if they weren't around, it would go down to my brother. So I know that logically, but that would also include my horses now, which I don't really think of. My estate includes my horses. They're worth something, which is shocking to me because it's like my brother's worth something as well, but nobody would ever think to sell him, and yet my horses, somebody would try to sell them because they're worth something, and they are in my name, so therefore it is, they are part of my estate. They are technically a chattel. So if I died, the ownership would pass either to my parents or onto my brother at the moment in time. Do I really want that? Now, I've no qualms whatsoever about my mother having ownership. She would do everything that she could for them. But I don't know what that would mean for Egypt. And this is a conversation I definitely have to have with my mother. Because there's the things that I need to sort out. But I'm thinking about probably putting my money into trust for the benefit of my horses. But I don't know. I'm that crazy horsey lady. The money that she leaves goes to her horses. But I wouldn't like them split up. The youngsters have only known each other, as in Pagan and Egypt. Pagan was 6 months old when she arrived. Egypt was 1.5. They've both spent the vast majority of their lives together, here. And Midnight has blossomed being here, under our gentle care, under understanding, and a Paddock Paradise track system. Which says a lot for me about, and she's just so connected to the herd as well. And Spring, even though she's the newest member of the herd, and if she had a choice, she may not choose the herd that she's got, but it's developing. The relationships are changing within the herd with her, and she's not as that outsider as she would be. And I get the feeling that she'd be quite upset if she had to go. And as for the Major, he has been through way too much in his life. Way too much. And way too many horses have been and gone in his life. He has seen too many pass away, and he's lost humans, and he's lost people, and he's lost other horses. That I wouldn't want to take any of that from him, and I hope that anybody who would have to take him on because I passed away would think the same. But it's a big unknown. Now, I'm sure most of the people who watch this just wouldn't think of those things. They wouldn't think 1 minute about what they would do or what would happen to their horses if they died. Don't know. I really don't know where to go with this. I don't know what would happen. But I don't know. I'd hope that I'd left enough knowledge and experience behind in my mother and in the rest of my family for them to take on the challenge of having the herd that I've got. And they would still be my responsibility because they are what I've collected together and the life that I've given them. I feel as though it would be my responsibility to make sure that that's the same going forward. Now, would you have that same thought? Would you have that same consideration of, well, they're my responsibility, I've created this environment for them, I've done this, I've given them a haven, a paradise to live in, I need to make sure that that's sustained. So, as I said, quite a heavy topic to be thinking about, but Bean's my main support system has been in Scotland for the past week almost. It's made me think about it a lot. I've had to do a lot of things by myself, which makes me realise how much help I have on a daily basis in the form of my mother mostly, which I know most people might not have that support, and I'm really lucky to have it, and I do appreciate it. I'm also very aware of if I didn't have her, I wouldn't have 5 horses because it'd be just too much to deal with. But not having them there and having to rely on my grandmother to fill up hay nets for me so that I can come in at a decent hour has made me think a lot, because she's been asking questions of, what do I do here? What does that mean? What does that do? Can't I do this? Can't I do that? And it's made me realise I'm really, really friggin' particular, which I hope is a good thing. But it also means that going forward, if anything happened, my horses would have a shock of their lives if they had to change the way that they were because they got sent back to the Blue Cross or were being under somebody else's management. Would my mother even know what to feed the major? What quantities to feed him? When to feed what? I mean, he's on a delicate balance at the moment because he is 29 years old. I got myself into a little hole there. So, something to think about, something for me to think about, something to have a discussion with family members about, and perhaps something for you to think about as well. What would happen to your animals if you weren't there? Have you had that conversation with people around you? Are you particular about how you keep your animals, horses, dogs, cats, goldfish, whatever you have? Have you had that conversation? Something to think about. Anyway, I hope that wasn't too heavy for you. It's certainly given me a lot to think about, and this is what the Thursday Thinks are all about, what is on my brain, what I'm thinking about, what's on my mind, the weird stuff that goes through my mind. So I hope you've enjoyed this, or I don't know if I should say enjoy this, because I'm talking about what if I died. But, you know, that sort of thing. If you have, let me know in the comments below. Let me know whether you've planned for this eventuality. If you haven't, is it something that I've triggered you to think about? If not, let me know as well. Feedback is always great, whether it's good or bad. So, this is obviously the Thursday Thinks on Facebook Live. This will go up onto YouTube in 2 weeks' time if you want to check it out in a different format. Or if you want to watch it on replay on here, go for it. Don't forget to like the Facebook page and follow us over there. Also, join the Facebook community, Facebook group. It's a lovely group of people over there, so join us. There's little extra tidbits over there you wouldn't find on the Naturally Facebook page. Also, check us out on Instagram, we're naturally_Willa, for virtually daily updates on the herd. And I think that's it for me this week. So tune in next week for my next Thursday Thinks, and I'll have a good think about what I want to think about then. And I'll see you again soon. Bye.